Get on my little soapbox for a second.
It's Mark Sherwin's Contractor Marketing Soapbox.
Your guide to getting found, selected, and remembered.
And now, here's Mark.
Hey, fellow soapboxers, welcome back to the Contractor Marketing Soapbox. I really appreciate it. My name is Mark Sherwin. Today I got a very special guest, Mr. Roy White, the chief problem solver over at Fixed Right and Guaranteed up in the cold Northeast, a little colder than down here in North Carolina. So welcome, Roy. Definitely appreciate you joining me today. We've got a very special topic. Roy and I, we've been going back and forth for quite a while now. I met Roy, what was it, 2 shows ago, three years ago at a
Barefoot Roundtable is where we first met.
Roundtable, that's right. Yeah. And we just gone back and forth with building a relationship and understanding each other. And I just grew more and more impressed with the culture and the things that he had built there at Fixed Right and Guaranteed, and his loyalty to his people, to the people that he surrounded himself with. And it was an amazing, we kicked off the relationship the right way. And most recently, and kind of set the stage for y'all, I went out to Orlando, went down to Orlando in Florida, and Mr. Roy was here. He was doing a presentation on the 3 pillars of within company culture. And he was telling some stories, and Roy, I'm not going to ask you to repeat all those stories, but they were very powerful stories on just how he takes care of his people, from a workers' comp thing to some just taking care of your people internally. And I'm sitting there in the audience and I'm going, I love this because this parlays into what I tell my clients about marketing. The company culture will spill over into that, into marketing, my realm, if you will. And while the 3 pillars are extraordinarily important, I'm going to Roy and I are going to kind of dive into that culture pillar a little bit more today as it relates to marketing, as it relates to sales, as it relates to just general communication. So welcome, Roy. Sorry for the long intro. Appreciate you coming in on it.
I appreciate being here, and I'll never forget the day I met you. And I hope you don't mind I shared a story. Right?
No, absolutely.
I think your listeners will probably get an even better appreciation for you after hearing this. So I met Joe a couple of times, a couple of events, and we had great conversations. It seemed like the type of people I'd like to do business with one day. So I remember my son and I were at Barefoot Roundtable, and you, Joe, myself, and my son were kind of standing out back behind the tent. And I remember looking up, and I could see the seagull flying towards us. So I'm kind of watching it, and literally the seagull takes a dump. And Mark is answering a question of mine, mid-conversation. He sees it at the last second, sidesteps the bird shit. I hope you can edit that out. Sidesteps it, never hesitates his talking, just keeps on talking, never said anything. That was probably the coolest move I've ever seen in my life. I'll never forget where I met you and what happened.
Thanks to that bird, we're still here to talk about it today. I still have no idea how that happened. I just looked up, saw it flying at me, took a sidestep. I remember that distinctly, but yeah, that was a good event. I like that event.
Yeah, it was really cool.
On the beach in Tampa. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about culture and marketing, and I'm sure everybody listening here is we know all about that culture. Do the right thing. Everybody, and yet I still hear horror stories about it. And we're going to talk a little bit more about how you talk about to your clients. I love. Every time we talk, I see the background, right? Always do the right thing. You'll never be wrong. These are things, and you're in your training center, right?
We are, yes.
And that is something that you preach and you talk about, and you make sure your people understand every single time. If you could tell us all a little bit about how did this originate? Where did you learn where this, to come up with this kind of culture?
Sure.
Talk about it.
Well, yeah, and I love kind of how you started this, because people do hear the word culture. Like if you go to any best practices group, obviously Service Nation Alliance, you've already alluded to how we met, where we met.
Yeah.
So I learned, 90+% of what I know about culture through Service Nation Alliance and some of the amazing friends and members of that organization. But the word culture, I feel like a lot of people underestimate it. I think they hear it and they're like, man, well, y'all stop talking about culture already. We get it. We've heard this thing over and over and over. But I don't think those people truly get it because, like, yeah, we've got some great stuff on the wall, but it's not just about having signs on walls. Like, to me, it's like we're not putting those signs up to check a box. It's like your core values, your mission statement, your vision statement. To me, that's what keeps us in check. Like these last 2 months, we probably had more days below freezing. Certainly the last 2 weeks, we've had more below freezing than we've had above freezing. Now today it's going to be like 60 degrees. Welcome to Maryland. Like, 18 2 days ago, 60 today. But when we're all getting like just worn out, like running crazy amount of hours, summertime when it's 100 degrees outside, really humid, you can get really frustrated and overwhelmed. But if you don't have like your core values, like truly being the part of like your team culture, your environment, it's easy to like people to start arguing with each other, getting frustrated with clients, things just go south. So we preach all the time and we reiterate this stuff on a weekly basis. Like in our weekly meetings, we'll go through all of our 5-star reviews. Hey, even if we get a 1-star, like we'll talk about all that, but we're talking about, hey, how does that fall within our mission statement, within our core values? Just basically, it's not just something when we do onboarding with a new team member. Probably the majority of my time in onboarding is kind of pulling them into our culture, but it doesn't just stop there. It's literally an ongoing part of our, everyday culture and coaching. And
you said it, and I'm just going to reiterate it. Leadership is a direct impact on morale and culture. And right, it starts with you and I. Right, in many cases, if we are having a bad day and we go into a meeting with a sour look on our face, that impacts everybody around us, whether we intend it to or not.
Absolutely.
And it starts with us. So that's super important. You know what? I just saw. If nobody follows Roy on Facebook, please do so. He posts some really cool videos. But there was one video recently. You just talked about your 2 new hires, right? And you introduced them, and you had your little you had your cast on for your shoulder, but you're introducing your dudes and a little bit of experience, etc. And I love that. Kind of put them on the spot a little bit, but at the end of the day, that you're showing them what you expect and how they will be treated, and quite frankly, what everybody in that room would expect. Correct? I mean, do you do that for all your new hires? Do you put them in front of the camera like that? Is it something that you're? Do you ever get pushback on that?
No, fortunately, we never have. Now we've got a couple guys that say, "Hey, like I'd rather not put my birthday on Facebook and kind of be singled out in that way." But as far as like just being welcome to the team, because I've never asked any of them to like talk on camera. Anybody that's going to maybe do like a podcast, because we're doing our own podcast now. I actually just filmed 2 this morning, as a matter of fact.
I can't wait to watch those.
Yeah, thank you. So, but if any of those guys, don't want to be on the podcast, we would honor that. So we're not going to force that on anybody. But we do want them to be welcome to the team. One, because, that's, again, part of our culture. Like, hey, we're a family, we're a team. And, we're not just going to bring you in and forget about everything that we promised you on your way in. But I remember probably 2 or 3 years ago, doing I think it was a panel at a Service Nation event. And I shared how I remember hearing on a Chick-fil-A podcast. It was a podcast that had the VP of marketing for Chick-fil-A.
I remember, yep.
Yeah. And he made a powerful point. He's like, it's how do we attract the best people? Well, we have to ask ourselves a different question, which is how do we become the type of company where the best people find us? And I took that serious way back then. And it's amazing to see kind of how the last 3 years it really has played out, where like both of these gentlemen came to us, one 15 years experience, one 35 years experience, phenomenal character. I mean, it's one thing for people to say they have a lot of experience in the trade, but sometimes you find, okay, did they have 15 years experience or do they have 2 years experience, 7.5 times? But now these guys are like high caliber. And the last 2 years in particular, I can probably name eight team members right now that were like the number one, number two folks at the companies they came from. And the caliber of our team has just grown up so much over the last couple of years. And it 100% has everything to do with culture and the environment that we've created around here. And again, big thanks to Service Nation Alliance for all that they've taught us about culture. And, fortunately we didn't just take it as a, okay, stop talking about it already. We truly internalized it and ran with it, and culture, operational excellence, and the other couple pillars, we talked about in Orlando being culture, coaching, and KPIs in particular, were those 3 pillars I talked about, but culture is definitely the number one. You still there, Mark?
I am.
Okay. I froze for a second.
One of us froze. I'm not sure if it was me or not.
Yeah.
That's going to look fun in the editing room. What ends up happening, and culture is extraordinarily important. There's not a doubt in my mind. And yes, coaching and KPIs being the other. And we're going to kind of touch on those here momentarily. But culture is, and for my viewers and for the people looking and watching this, I have spent hundreds or maybe even thousands of clients at this point, and just talking to them and helping them understand that their culture, their the environment that they create, the training that they provide, the things that they hope are happening in the field need to be taught and trained and reiterated constantly within their team. And what I fail to see is anybody tying it back to why, the marketing behind it. It's not always, you want a good customer experience. Yeah, I get it. But how does that impact marketing? And it's my standpoint, my little soapbox, that even culture is going to impact the design of your website, right? The imagery in it. It's going to impact your social media, right? And how you showcase your company. It's going to impact the reviews that you get, the amount and the value behind them. And people don't oftentimes connect those dots as to what culture means. While you were building out your brand, right? Part of that culture that you built out was, you have a whole character set up. And what's his name for everybody listening? What?
Sonny the Super Tech.
Sonny the Super Tech. But Sonny has got a special person to you, and inside of the costume, that is.
Oh, well, 2 things. One, the name Sonny, that actually came as a honor of my mother, who's from North Carolina, which is where you're based out of. Her TV handle was Carolina Sunshine, and she was always everything about sunshine. So anyway, Sonny is spelled Sunny. So Sonny the Super Tech. Now, to your point, usually the person inside of Sonny the Super Tech is my daughter, Samantha. If she's not in it, it's my wife, Michelle. I purposely had the costume made so I could not fit in it. So Michelle and Samantha are small enough they can fit inside of Sonny. I cannot.
Very nice. All right. So, but Sonny is part of the culture. It is part of who you are, right? Right down to the naming of Sonny. Those are things that matter to you, to your family, and ultimately the team. And it's my standpoint again. When your marketing company, us, when we came in asking for photos of your team and of your like, you just, here you go. I got all these photos. Oh yeah, we've been doing these videos for a while. Here you go. Right. That is so like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. It was one of those, oh my gosh, somebody has all the stuff that we're looking for at that moment. We're looking for it. People oftentimes, they think, oh, they can just Photoshop something. No, we can't. I can't Photoshop culture. I can't Photoshop um, um, a trash can out of a background because your van was parked in front of it and you like the lighting that day. So from that point, from the first touch, I see culture impacting just the outside appearance of the company. I also see it in the first touch, how your CSRs answer the phone. Talk to me a little bit about the training, the scripting, the constant things that you do, even there, the coaching that you do as it relates to how you are and how you are engaging with that first, oftentimes the first engagement with that customer.
Yeah. So everybody here knows, again, one of our core values, circling back to culture, is being a servant leader. So yes, are we paying attention to KPIs, like we know how many phone calls a day we want, how many book calls? Absolutely. That's just being a good business owner.
Of course.
But it's more than that. It's like, okay, to be servant leaders, it's something we coach on all the time. It's like, how can we make this the best experience that a client can have, to have that wow factor, the wow experience, the raving fans? So not only were they happy with us, we don't want to just meet their expectations. We want to exceed their expectations.
Sure.
To our mission statement. So the way we do that, okay, let's make sure that phone call is the best phone call they could ever make. Like, let's talk about empathy and what they're in a freaking out situation, especially when it's hot in the summertime, and people are more forgiving and patient in the wintertime. But when it's 90 degrees outside, they typically call a little frustrated. So, hey, let's not take it something personal. If somebody calls freaking out, no, just put their mind at ease. Let them know we're here to help. They call the right company. So just, all the scripting, all the frequently asked questions, like, let's have customer experience be a big part of these scripted answers. Now, not to be like robots, like, no, take this conversation. Yeah, let's make it your own.
Sure.
We're all delivering the same message, which is all about customer experience.
I'm a little at a loss for words. I'm going to be honest with you, because that is what I am telling clients constantly, right? And Roy, I'm going to put you a little bit on the hot seat here just for a second, because I'm talking to several clients of recent and over time about booking rates, right? You get 10 good phone calls from people. I'm hearing 80-90% targets for booking those calls. But in reality, that percentage might be a little bit lower. What is your target? If you're going to coach somebody right now from, somebody watching externally here, owns their own company, what is that target rate that they should be looking at to booking those quality calls that are coming in?
Yeah. If I had to throw out a number, I'm going to say 85 to 90%, but I'm going to tell you that's not even one of the KPIs that I pay as much attention to. And here's why. Not every phone call is created equal. Not every service call is created equal. If somebody calls in with a 3-year-old Mr. Cool unit, quite frankly, we probably don't want to run that call, because there's not going to be a tremendous amount of opportunity there. It's probably more risk than it is reward. So I don't want my CSRs to be so worried about a booking rate that they're going to take on calls that maybe fill our schedule to the point where later on today, a true opportunity comes in, 12-year-old single system, never been serviced, whatever it may be. So yes, if it's a true opportunity, probably 90%, I want it to be that. But some of these other calls, I don't consider true opportunities.
Sure.
But anyway, that's more of a case by case, and we actually have tiers. Like our CSRs know, and this is all part of their coaching, is here's what our tier 1 opportunities are.
Yes.
Warranties, callbacks, club memberships, 10 plus equipment. Those are like our tier 1s. They get service today.
Love
we
it.
want 90+% booking rate. I mean, I want that to be 95% plus, right? If as close to 100 as we possibly can.
Sure.
But when we get down to tier 2 and tier 3 calls, which we have those designated, they know what's a tier 2, what's a tier 3. I'm not going to get frustrated or have any type of, within reason. I mean, if they just did a bad job, certainly. But as long as they were just being personable and it just didn't make sense for us to run that call, we had to push that one out 2 or 3 days. Maybe they found someone to do it sooner. That's okay. As long as we get our tier 1 opportunities taken care of, we're going to have a lot of flexibility with our tier 2 and tier 3 calls.
I can't thank you enough for mentioning tiering. It's almost like you're scoring the calls to determine, hey, that's a priority. That's not as much of a priority. And understanding and then looking at your schedule, hey, we've got 10 open spots today. Even tier 3 might make it on the schedule, depending upon a number of factors, of course. But it allows you that opportunity to book the best calls. I absolutely love it.
Absolutely.
But that doesn't stop there. That technician now has been dispatched. That technician then shows up at the door. I cannot tell you the number of experiences just personally that I've had where somebody shows up at my door reeking of cigarettes or shirts untucked, dirty, right? I don't want to invite this person into my home. That culture permeates over into that second touch, that next level, if you will. And I'm going to tie it back to the importance, but I'm really anxious to hear your training, your coaching on the second touch, that the moment that person shows up at the door. Now I understand, right? They might get a text message and a few emails, such and such is coming to your doorstep, but when they show up, what's your coaching like there? You have to hope that they represent you as well as anything, because you're not standing there with them oftentimes.
Absolutely. And back to the earlier conversation, not only is this taught during onboarding, like it's driven home big time during our onboarding, but on a regular basis after that. It's not even when we pull into the driveway, like there's things that need to happen even before we get to the home. Like, is the truck clean? Is it organized? Did you pull over before you got to their driveway, clicked on site? So you're not pulling in their driveway, now trying to hit on site on your CRM, whether it be Sarah, Service Titan, or whoever you might use. But it's like the client's looking out the window, basically starting to watch in their mind, like, okay, it's been 30 seconds. Why isn't he knocking on my door? So it's these little things that matter. It's like, now when you get in the driveway, let's be ready. Just jump right out, get our tools. Maybe it's a small set of tools like notepad, pen, a couple of nut drivers. It doesn't have to go carrying anything and everything in there. And we teach that stuff. Like, what are we carrying to the front door? When they answer the door, are we parked okay? Is where I'm at parked okay? So all those little things. We have our super tech service call, which a lot of people call it the perfect service call, but we're coaching that all the time. And we actually utilize Rilla, so we're actually recording our service calls, and Rilla will track. We have our markers throughout the call. So now we can go back just from an accountability standpoint. And again, accountability should be more of a positive word than a negative word. Like, hey, are we following our system so that we can ensure this customer experience is what it should be? So we have raving fans that are continuing to do our marketing on social media for us. So we don't have to spend a ton of money on marketing. We've got an army of raving fans out there doing it for free.
That's exactly right. I can't say it more. I can't say it better than that, actually, because you are going to earn your review. You're going to earn that referral, right? Just based on how you've treated that consumer, that customer, that client up until that point, they're going to be proud to recommend you wherever you are or wherever they may be at that moment in time. You're the first person they're going to think of, right?
Absolutely.
And for everybody listening here, for my contractors that are listening, I cannot express to you enough, right, that entirety of what Roy just explained, right? I'm looking at that as, yeah, you know what? That person came in on SEO or a map placement, but how you treat that person also gets you more leads, right? And I don't want credit for it, but I want you to understand that entirety of that process, everything that Roy just went through, results in maybe 2 or 3 more opportunities for you, based on one SEO page, link or lead, if you will. And that all then ties right back to the beginning, right? That you finished up, you've asked for the referral, right? You guys practice that quite a bit, Roy, and asking for the reviews as you're in there. I teach it all the time, and I'm assuming this is true for you guys. People like to reward people, not companies.
1,000%.
So your technicians are earning that. You train I'm sure you go through it on a regular basis. But do you do role play with that in the office?
We do. We role play everything, but we teach to rely on the favor. Like Ms. Smith, my goal was to give you a 7-star service in hopes of getting a 5-star review. Is there anything else I can do to make sure I did that today? Oh no, you were great, fantastic. Is there any way I could ask you a huge favor, just to show the company that I'm doing a good job for you? Would you mind just giving me a 5-star review and mentioning my name so they know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be? So just what you said, they are asking for a favor for them personally, not for the customer to help a company that may just be a name,
right?
But there's a relationship because they just help their family. So they're going to be way more inclined to do them a favor than to do a company a favor.
It's 100%. That's we think that way in our own lives. How many times I'm asking this question for the viewers? How many times have you gotten a review request from an Amazon product or something that you bought? There's no personality behind it. Why am I going to take that moment in time to go and do that for you? I don't know. You send me a product. Thanks. Appreciate it. It works. Awesome. I'll be sure to leave a review if there's a problem, right? If you're non-communicative or don't want to fix the problem, but this all ties right back to the beginning, right? I've now got reviews. I've got social media happening. I got people referring me on those social media channels. I've got new pictures, or I've got new experiences that I can share on the website. Maybe a blog post, maybe a photos for the website, whatever it is, the new video. Those are amazing things, and it comes back full circle because now that might give me a new client. Hey, I saw your social media. Hey, you were on Google Maps. I clicked on you because of your reviews. That's how this whole thing continues to work. Now, we can get into a number of things as far as coaching and KPIs beyond that. But Roy, there's no secret sauce to this. There's no, oh my gosh, if I just do this, I'm going to be rich next week. If I'm just number one on Google, I'm going to make all this money. That doesn't happen. And I tell clients this a lot. You've probably heard this story, but if you go to Google as a consumer for yourself and you do a search, right, you're mentally going through that search looking for reasons not to do business with somebody. Never heard of. Oh my gosh, Aunt Lucy hated them last. Right, you're making connections in your brain as you go down those search results. Our goal for you, for any of our clients, and anybody listening, your goal is to get that person to stop on your name and go, those are the guys that I remember them from. That's the aha moment in any kind of marketing process, is they stopped on your name. Oh, fixed right and guaranteed. Oh, those are the guys with the cool sunny costume. I saw them at the event last week, or the parade. Right? Click.
Absolutely.
You got it. Those are that works. Culture impacted your marketing. We could probably get into a whole other conversation on community involvement. So I'm not going to bore everybody with that. But do you have, I don't want to say a secret, but if you knew of one thing that you would encourage all contractors, not just Service Nation, not just Roundtable, but anybody, what is that one piece of advice that you're going to give to them that you want them to walk away from this conversation with and go, start here, guys?
Yeah, social media. I look at it like this. I don't understand PPC, SEO, and stuff the way that you do, nor do I want to, because that's what I have you for. Like, love the partnership we have. So what I want to do is I want to let everyone in our community know who we are, what we stand for. Hey, we are a group of amazing team members that genuinely cares. I promise you, we will do everything in our power to give you the best experience possible, take the best care of you and your family possible. So we want to do anything and everything we can do from a social media standpoint to share that message within our community. Now, somebody like you can take that and run with it and do all the other sophisticated stuff with PPC and SEO that it's just not in my best interest to learn to do that at the level you can, because I've got someone in you that I trust. So like, now I just want to, social media is basically free. So we can just share stuff on Facebook, let people know who we are, what we're about, keep it simple. So we focus on operational excellence and taking care of our clients and just putting that on social media and letting you do the rest.
I appreciate that very much. On a point of order on that, and Roy, you and I are from the same generation, right? I've heard just people in our generation, I'm not going to get on camera. I don't want to get in front of, I just want social media to work magically. I'm going to implore anybody listening to this, put that aside, put that notion aside, get in front of the camera, have some fun. Nobody's going to judge you, right? There's plenty of people out there on social media and in front of cameras. It probably shouldn't be, but have fun with it. Be that team, because that is culturally appropriate from a company culture. I absolutely encourage everybody to think like Roy is mentioning. It only helps your marketing team. Okay. I appreciate you, Roy. Thank you so much for joining me today. It has been an absolute pleasure. If you have, there's easy ways to get a hold of us, but Roy, I know you do a lot of coaching through your AB groups and through Service Nation. I am certain that if anybody listening to this might, is there an easy way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, just you can go on our website or certainly email me, roy@fixedrightandguaranteed.com. Always happy to answer any questions I can. But yeah, no, I really appreciate you, and I'll give you kudos. It's probably 2 or 3 years of us just kind of talking at different events before we ever pulled the trigger and started working with you guys. But one thing I'll say is you were always giving me great advice for free. Like I remember one time you telling me how to get backlinks to .gov websites. We weren't even doing business with you. You just gave me some great advice. I was just always appreciative, kind of like us with our clients. Like we always try to add value, whether or not somebody does business with us or not. We want to just share what we can with them. And you always did that for us. And I was really excited that, when we kind of got to the point where we were able to pull that trigger and start working together.
Roy, I appreciate that very much. And that goes for anybody listening to this, from a coaching, a marketing coaching perspective. I'm there for you. If you need any help, just let me know. I'm sure our my person behind the scenes, Ray, will post up my email address on there, marketleadsnearby.com. And lastly, Roy is a Ravens fan. I am a Steelers fan. So just so you know, we're still friends. Okay, for everybody, I do owe him a nice old fashioned, but I bet on the Steelers and I lost. So next time we see each other, we get you get yourself a top shelf old fashioned.
Love that. Now the problem is the Ravens are going to be watching the Super Bowl same place the Steelers are, unfortunately. But hey, at least that game went our way.
The only thing I have on you right now is that I draft before you, so that's a win for us.
Fair enough.
I appreciate you, Roy. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I appreciate everybody listening in. Oh, you know what? I never realized. I always got to stop and ask. Was there any questions, Ray? Anybody pop in behind the scenes? Ray is behind the scenes. I'm guessing not.
No word must be good word.
There's Ray. He's coming in.
I didn't want to do this. Just one person here is a Cowboys fan. So I guess if we want to just wrap up by both of you attacking them, that might be the way to go.
We're both very sorry.
Hey, well, they do have awesome stadiums, so they've got that.
Hey, I won't take the stadium away from them. No, absolutely. That is an awesome stadium. But you had a worse year than both of us. That's for sure. I appreciate you, Roy. Thank you so much, man. Be safe out there.
Take care, everybody.
It's Mark Sherwin's Contractor Marketing Soapbox. Call Mark to learn more. 919-758-8420.